Hi Internet, welcome back to the stream. It has been a long time, or at least to me it's felt like a really long time since I've done this, but excuse me, welcome back! I'm live again for the first time in a little bit. So yeah, we went on vacation, we went to Japan. The stream is going to somewhat resume as normal this week. I was going to stream yesterday, but I got a cold last week while we were in Tokyo, and I haven't quite been able to fully talk clearly since then. I can talk reasonably well today, so that's why we're live and everything. And this is going to be probably a pretty short, sweet, a little bit self-indulgent. I'm going to talk about the trip and some of the stuff that we did, and I'm also going to talk a little bit about some schedule. See, there goes the cough. Schedule changes that I'm probably going to start working on in the coming future. As well as other stream and content plans that have been kind of percolating since we left. Also, Kitten, thank you for the sub. Thanks for the moderator support. Where's the tree? Okay, so fun facts. The person that we visited in Japan told us that there was a shot that some of the cherry trees would still be blooming. While we were there, I kind of forgot about the whole cherry tree, like those existing in the spring in Japan. Because all of them had pretty much stopped blooming entirely, so we didn't really get to see any of those. Also, Dan the Man, thank you for swinging by. I'm glad that you enjoyed the photos. Flufferton is here, and Flufferton had a good time. I did drag this poor plushie over across continents to be able to join for the trip. I did not forget about you, Kitten. I forgot that the trees were a thing. My point there was just that, we just didn't see any of them. There was no physical trees to actually notice to remind me that, oh yeah, that was a thing. Does Flufferton has a cough too? Flufferton does not have a cough, thankfully. But thank you for asking. He does appreciate the care for his health. Yeah, I'm feeling much better. I need to get the rest of the phlegm out of my system, you know? Also, New Kid, welcome back. I was gone for too long and I was scared, and you were scared and didn't know what to do. Drink Mountain Dew and don't panic is the answer to that. But also, yes, I'm here and to save the world and to save all of you from something, I guess. I can definitely do that from here. But yeah, we're back. I thought about playing Runeterra today, but I honestly haven't looked at the game in a week or so. I did play it a couple of times while we were on vacation, but I got really absorbed into Honkai Choo Choo, to be honest. Kitten! Oh, thank you for staying up to say hello. Hello. Also, good night. Get some sleep if you need. I got really absorbed in Honkai Choo Choo, and also I played a little bit of Marvel Snap, because that was an easy thing to do while waiting for trains and stuff. I'm not ranked at all in Marvel Snap, but it's funny, and I am so close to getting my Onslaught to be epic rarity, or the one that's higher than epic, and I'm just waiting to get the boosters. Might have been Japan at the same time as your parents who just got back as well. Populated country, not saying you're right into them. I definitely looked around, and every time I saw a non-Asian person, I was it was a game of figuring out whether or not they were going to speak a European language or just American English. There were also some Australians, though, and they threw off my game a little bit. Also, Syntax, thank you! Welcome back to the chat as well. That is a funny coincidence, though. I was talking to somebody else who said that she knew 3 people who went to Japan or were going to Japan this year alone. So apparently it's a hot destination. So yeah, we actually got really lucky getting into the country, because on April 29th, and we were flying May 1st, on April 29th, they dropped the requirement that you had to show COVID vaccinations. We were triple vaccinated. I'm quadruple vaccinated because I got a booster right before, because I was okay, let's just, get an extra dose of antibodies in me. And then they didn't ask for it at all. Your little brother is going on an exchange trip in a month or two. That's super cool. Yeah, the person half the reason we went is because we knew somebody who did like an exchange program for a summer to teach English to some kids, and then got into the JET program to teach full time for 2 years over there. He was great to see. He's actually Glass's oldest friend. They've known each other for like 20 fucking years. So that was pretty neat. Yeah, we got super lucky with the COVID stuff. Getting in was like super fucking smooth. They at the airport they had the. I'm gonna just kind of jump into random anecdotes. At this point, Sky, oh my god, welcome back too. Thank you for the for the resub. As I cough over my own excitement. Hello, crazy stranger. Hello, crazy stranger to you as well. Greetings, crazy people. Man, I found my little group of crazy people again. This is fantastic. At the airport, they had these little like patrolling robots. They'd yell at you if you stood in front of it, but they basically just navigated around the airport on their own. And I'd never seen a robot like that in an airport, and I was just like cooing over it the whole time. There was a crowd of tourists. There was a crowd of tourists around it, just taking photos of it. And meanwhile, it's just sitting there, staying still, not doing anything, just like yelling in Japanese at people to move. A patrolling go-kart, essentially. Yeah, I don't have a great photo of this area either, but there was this whole Nintendo welcome section in the Narita airport. It was pretty elaborate. There were paintings on the wall of like all like a bunch of Mario characters, and like Mario was just like everywhere in the airport. The whole welcome center was just themed around it. It was very go-kart like though. So day 2, I fucked up. I fucked up so bad day 2. I lost my wallet day 2 of the trip, and I am already a pretty anxious person. Like going outdoors, I get anxious, and like, excuse me. This is why I'm not going to be streaming for super long today. Day 2, I lost my wallet. I did find it really quickly because I lost it in the airport, and apparently security is just on top of their shit, and they had it within like 30 minutes. So I got it back like within the hour, the same day, super fast. But I lost my wallet day 2. Not my passport, thank God, but just the wallet, which is also terrible and catastrophic, but like at least they wouldn't put me in jail for not having my passport. I lost my passport day 2, and after that I feel like the trip was just, all the rest of it was just like downhill in terms of anxiety, because like I had to go do the walk of shame to the information counter, being like, I am a stupid tourist and I lost my wallet, can you please help? Even though I wasn't even sure that the airport had it, because I thought I might have dropped it on the shuttle bus from the hotel that we stayed in to the airport, because we went back to the airport to take a train into Tokyo, and I was like, oh god, if it was on the bus, I don't even know like how I would be able to hunt down that exact bus again. I did call the hotel as well, and they were very nice, and like we can try and get the bus company to look for it, and they did. However, it was just like, if I lost it in the bus, I might be fucked. Or because I have a very small black wallet too. It's like really compact, which is nice because it fits in my lady pockets, but it also just gets lost super easily. I was like, if they don't find it, maybe they just miss it. But thank God I got it back. That was very good. Huzzah. Yeah, so we went to Tokyo, and instead of staying in Tokyo, we went immediately down to Hiroshima, because the friend that we were going to meet up with mentioned exploring more the southern end of Japan a little bit more, and also Hiroshima seemed like a really historically important thing to see if you're going to go to Japan. So these are some shots of the morning of, or the morning after we got our hotel room there. There was a really nice, this is going to be a bit of a theme. There were a lot of really nice urban rivers that we saw and like walked along. This was, I think, the Enko River? I might be confusing it with the Kamo River in Kyoto, or flipping the names on those, but it was really nice. The cable cars are really cute. Like, it reminded me of San Francisco with the cable cars, only their buses were cleaner and nicer and more put together in general. Dragon Dre, hello, welcome back. Your jealousy is immense. This was an incredibly lucky trip for us to be able to take. I never thought I'd be able to really, get the opportunity to go abroad, both for like financial and stress reasons. But life has somehow worked out, and it was an absolute fucking blast. Glass was with me. We traveled together. He was a humongous partner in all of this as well. It wasn't just me doing shit. Yeah, this is very random, but all of the cities that we went to had really nice sewer caps or like sewer manhole covers. I don't know why it's a thing. I didn't actually look it up or anything, but all of the cities have their own designs on the manholes. Which, like, here is not a thing, and it's just kind of a metal grate with some stuff in it sometimes. There's at least sometimes some cities do have designs, but they're not usually colorful, really. Digi Dragon King, welcome back. For Demacia! I feel like I can say that better because my voice is a little deeper because I'm congested. But I hope you like that. Fair warning, I took a lot of photos of just, like, buildings that I thought were cool, or like that had like a really neat aesthetic. I don't know what any of this says, but we were walking down the street and I was like, that's a cool shot. I need to do photo editing on all of this as well. I took over 1,000 photos on my own. Glass took his own photos as well. We have probably like 1,500 photos total from our trip, and I need to pare it down and actually edit it. This is already a pared down version of the number of photos that I took. This is already 200. It's isolated from a even larger pack, but I need to go through and do color correction and like balance them and stuff. I'm very proud of myself for getting this shot. I thought the pink car with the pink sign was just like, so good. Also, the cars amazed me. Everything's a square. Or it's like a tiny like Honda Fit type of deal. But there's so many just like square shaped cars. They're all boxes. And also parking is insane because they'll park like right like an inch away from the building door sometimes. I feel like if you gave somebody in the US or gave a lot of people a parking space the size of that in the US, there would just be mass destruction everywhere. We saw a bunch of pretty parks and stuff. This was an absolutely adorable drink stand. It's so small. It's so cute. Am I a box? I took on the box form in order to travel to Japan, obviously. I rearranged my bone structure so that it was a square, and so that I could fit neatly into all of the small corner spaces. There were lots of small corner spaces for sure. This building reminded me of a duck. It's just delightfully painted yellow. And it reminded me of a duck. I took this photo while we were wandering around some back streets trying to get into another park that I was like, oh, there's an observation point up there. And then we just couldn't find it. There was an entrance on Google Maps that there was an entrance to the park. And instead it was just like an overgrown security gate with like no stairs that you were obviously not supposed to go through. So that flopped a little bit. We also apparently landed in Hiroshima. We didn't plan this. First of all, we traveled to Japan during Golden Week, which is when Japanese people have time off for several days in a row. Colin, the person we visited, had like, I think like 5 days or something, like continuous vacation. Happens every year in May. It's like one of the worst times to be a tourist in a major city because all of the locals and also all of the internal travelers are just like going places. So we wanted to see our friend for several days, but we decided to risk Golden Week. Not recommended necessarily to go during Golden Week. My point with all of this though, is that we also just barely missed the G7 summit happening in Hiroshima. They had like displays and like signs about it and like warnings on like billboards and stuff saying do not take the trains during or right before the summit, because they will be packed and you will not be able to go anywhere. So luckily we were like right before that, and I think we were leaving the country right as other people were flying in to deal with it. So that was lucky of us. It was super pretty though, and also I got this fantastic shot of a bunch of greyhounds in sweaters. I don't know why there were like 10 greyhounds in sweaters outside of like Peace Memorial Park in front of this sign, but they were adorable and I loved them. Top tier doggos. Who cares why they're great? They are pretty fucking great. They were so calm as well. People over there, they put their dogs in sweaters a lot, I noticed. Like, more so than here. It's like every small dog, it was like a 70-20, 70-30 shot in favor of it potentially having a sweater on, which I think is beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. Yeah, we walked around the Peace Memorial Park. We did not go into the museum because if you can see the line back there, that's all people lining up to try to get into the museum. There were probably like 300-ish people, 300 plus people trying to get in, and we just decided to not do that. Did you see the giant Gundam? No, we did not see the giant Gundam, though we did get some we did not. No. I don't actually know where that is. We went to a lot of historical sites. We kind of prioritized like shrines, temples, castles, places of historical importance like Hiroshima and stuff like that. We went to Akihabara 3 times. So we did definitely get a dose of the pop culture stuff. But I'll get to Akihabara later. Sad you missed the cherry trees. Have them some blossoming nearby up north, but I'd love to see them in Japan. I looked at tickets for the cherry blossom season, but plane tickets like doubled in price because it's like a huge tourist thing. So maybe on another trip, but we didn't actually see many cherry blossoms. A bit of a disappointment because they are just fucking stunning. But maybe another time. I also really want to see Japan in the fall now, because a lot of the buildings that we went to, the temples up in the mountains, I can't imagine how pretty that must be when all the trees are like orange and red. I absolutely love fall colors. That's probably incredible. I took a bunch of photos around the park. I rang the peace bell. This is the atomic dome that survived the bombing. So that was really fascinating and powerful to see. Yeah, I mostly thought of it because in a bunch of the travel brochures that were like scattered around hotels and like the transit centers and whatever, they'd have these beautiful shots of temples and there's just like fiery tree colors, and I was like, I need to see that in person sometime. You're hoping after your degree program to do teaching English in Japan? Fuck yeah! The friend of ours who's teaching there, I think he likes it. I think he finds it a little isolating. I think that's something I've heard from other people who've talked about the program as well, that it's kind of isolating sometimes, especially depending on where they end up placing you. But honestly, I'd take that deal. Living in Japan to teach English for a little while sounds incredible. Yeah, we walked around a little bit more. There was again a nice river in the middle of the city, very beautiful. This is like the informational stuff about it. The A-bomb dome, yeah. I guess you can kind of read it actually, which is kudos to my camera that took this photo. Yeah, they just decided to leave it as the ruins that remained as a memorial. While we had a very ambitious day in Hiroshima. What we decided to do was walk from the Hiroshima station to Peace Park and then up to Hiroshima Castle. And then we wanted to try and get Okonomiyaki, which is what the city is famous for, and then walk back to the transit center and then take a train up to Kyoto, all in one day. We got to the Peace Memorial Park and the A-bomb dome, obviously. We then walked to Hiroshima Castle, and on our way to the Hiroshima Castle, we ran into this random like rock performance in an underground shopping center, which was just kind of dope. just some really talented musicians just chilling and performing. I probably was for something, but I couldn't read any of the signs, so I was just like, yeah, free music, woo! So that was cool. Hiroshima Castle, which I didn't know, but was looking at a map and was like, that looks cool. It seems to be in slightly reasonable walking distance. Is actually really fucking stunning. I didn't know about it beforehand, but it's just in the middle of the city. It's reconstructed, obviously, because it did not survive. It's made out of a lot of wood. But it's really pretty. There's giant fucking koi fish in the water. It's basically surrounded by a moat, which is just a really nice design. And the castle itself inside the moat is like this 6-storied thing, and they turned the interior of it into a museum about the original building with like original artifacts from the time period. So there's like it's like samurai armor and weapons and a history of the place, and you climb these really honestly pretty steep flights of stairs to get to the top. But once you get to the top, you can actually look out on the city from the top of the building, and it's one of the higher buildings around. So it's really cool. And it's also just it's really fucking beautiful, and it has an adorable mascot. We actually did see a bunch of the mascot thing while we were walking around. Sometimes I would look at it and it'd be like, that's cute. And then like a few seconds later, I'd be like, oh no, that's the city's mascot, or that's the town's mascot, or it's something's mascot. But I like that the castle has whatever that is. This is very good. Petition for US cities to have cute mascots. Though we'd probably just end up with whatever the fucking, what is it, the Philly Fanatic is? We'd probably just end up more with like dozens of those. I don't want dozens of those, okay? So yeah, we did not get food in Hiroshima because we had to get to the train. Also, we were just fucking tired at the end of it. We ended up getting a lot of convenience store food, and may I just point out that the convenience stores in Japan like blew me out of the water, because the 7-Eleven is incredibly popular along with like Lawson's and like Family Mart, but it's the same 7-Eleven company that's in the US. The 7-Elevens over there are like serve you pretty decent food very inexpensively, and they also heat up your food for you, which I didn't know was a thing anywhere. I didn't know that you could walk into a convenience store somewhere like buy a full-on like box of food, and then they would stick it in the microwave for you, give you utensils, heat it up for you, and then hand it back to you without charging you extra for all of that. It was quite nice because you could just get hot food and go sit in a park somewhere and eat it, and it was like chill. I wish the 7-Elevens here did that, only it would probably be much worse quality food, so maybe I don't want that. But it's just very surprising. Also, the vending machines are everywhere. The vending machines are like on every single block. Every hotel building we stayed in had vending machines, either like on individual floors, or they straight up had them outside, or they had a full-blown convenience store inside the hotel, which is just kind of really nice. Like, they didn't charge you for amenities. You could just go downstairs and like buy stuff for a couple hundred yen, which we did a lot. I ate a lot of those like pineapple melon bun things. They're so good. They are so good. Glass predicted that I would I would love them because he knows that I like bread, but then I'm basically just a fucking pigeon when it comes to bread. If you give me bread, I'll eat bread. And it's like really good, sweet, crunchy on the outside, soft on the inside bread. Mostly crunchy because it's crusted with like sugary stuff on it, but very good bread regardless. Top tier bread, that one. So yeah, this is now Kyoto. We got on the train. This is actually not the train. This is not the Hiroshima or the Kyoto stations. That's actually Narita. But we got on the train to Kyoto. I just don't know if anybody knows this, but pro tip, if you're going to Japan, there's a Japan Rail Pass that you can buy for a flat fee, and then you can use the trains pretty much with unlimited access. It's only for tourists and people traveling from abroad, but we paid like, I think it was like 200, 250 each, and we could take bullet trains anywhere we wanted for a week. Which is pretty incredible. The bullet trains are sometimes the price of like a domestic flight here in the US. So to be able to just do that for free was so nice. And the trains are so fast and efficient, and also just very clean. And there's kiosks everywhere where you can like reserve tickets and stuff. So that was just like made our trip like incredibly easy. So we went up to Kiyomizu, the Kiyomizu Shrine, which is, the person that we were with was like, this is one of the holiest places in Japan, which I didn't know at the time, or before he mentioned it. I was just like, that looks like a shrine that's within walking distance. But apparently it's one of the most famous places. Japan trip, moving a little higher up on your bucket list now. So here's another thing that was relatively surprising to me anyway. It was not as nearly as expensive as I thought it would be. Like we were able to find a hotel with 1 day's notice in downtown Kyoto for like $50 a night. When we initially saw the pricing and the layout, we were like, okay, this is probably just a hostel. And we were like chill staying in hostels because it's like, we didn't really care. We were traveling to another country for me, it was the first time going abroad. So I was just like, whatever's affordable and has a bed that I can sleep in and put my stuff down for 5 minutes is great. It was actually a full-blown hotel with like a separate bathroom and like your own room and stuff. And it was only like $50. It was really, really, really like surprisingly inexpensive. Tokyo was like a little bit more expensive at the hotel we stayed in, but not like hugely more so. And we were looking at some rooms when we were initially booking for Tokyo that were like 60 to 70 or like 60 to 70 a night, which is again not that bad, all things considered. So it was it's not it's not a super expensive thing, at least, or it doesn't have to be. We did not eat out or go to ryokans where there's like, you know, saunas and hot springs and all of that, because we knew those would be like $300 or so just to like stay there for a day. Maybe one day, but for now we were happy with just like a bed and a toilet. And also all of the toilets are great because all of them are a lot of them are heated, and almost all of them, if not, I think there was like 2 toilets that I sat on in the entire trip that didn't have bidets. Everything else was either heated and or had a bidet with it, which is just kind of amazing. I did somehow manage to find the one squat toilet that nobody warned me about that would be a thing. We were walking around in Kyoto, I think on the around the Cheon-in temple, and there was just a squat toilet, and I was like, what? Huh? Okay. So it's not all bidets, but it's mostly bidets and nice toilets. Anyway, toilets are great. The convenience stores are great. It's not, the staying overnight is not as expensive. Also, Kiyomizu was absolutely fucking gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. It wasn't a full-blown sunny day, and I kind of wish it had been so I could get some super like sparkly shots of it. Though it did also make the red pop a little bit more, I think, against the orange. It's not quite red. The orange pop against the gray a little bit. I just like this shot that I got. I just like this shot. It was a very cool statue there. More buildings. People actually giving offerings. The incense was really strong, so I didn't go up to give an offering, but you can. Just no one's going to stop you or anything like that. It also overlooks Kyoto. It's up in the mountains. You have to walk up either a very busy street, or you can go up a side street, which we did, which walks through a honestly very peaceful, beautiful urban graveyard. But then it was much less populated by tourists, which was also nice. And then I think that's most of the stuff from Kiyomizu. These are some night shots that I got from Kyoto as well. This one is a little hard to see, but there's actually like a really fancy palanquin on the right side. It was super cool colors though with the green. There's just randomly historically important stuff, like historically interesting stuff going on. Bonnie, hello. Is this GeoGuessr? Yes, it is GeoGuessr. It's the new GeoGuessr that I'm implementing through Google Photos. Watch out for the hot new app in 2024. No, it's just my excessively high number of travel photos. This is one of my favorite places that we ever went to. This is unrelated, but you're gonna play Duelist of Eden when it drops. Wait, I don't know what Duelist of Eden is, so no, but do tell me what it is. Your guess is the moon. You are correct. This is the moon. By the way, in the last year, we have populated the moon and given it an atmosphere and also water. Did I play Mega Man Battle Network? No. I vaguely know of Mega Man, but that's about as far as it goes, unfortunately. This is one of my favorite places. You could just sit by the water. You could go in the water if it was shallow. Like, there were kids playing in the water. There are stepping stones that go across the river that you can just like kind of jump over, and like it's just a really nice community space. We ate so many lunches and like late night snacks just like sitting on the rocks by this river. It was great. There were also many birds. That's not a great photo of a bird. This is a slightly better photo of a bird. There were so many of these cranes, and every single time I saw a crane, I had a compulsion to take a photo of it. So there's a lot of crane photos in my inventory. Like, objectively too many crane photos. Oh yeah, here's one of the places where people are just kind of like hanging out in the water. Straight up, excuse me. There was straight up one guy with his feet in the water, just like asleep. With his feet hanging in the river. It looked so comfortable. It looked incredibly comfortable. This was one of the most hellish days. It's a high-speed PvP card game with a rollback netcode? What? Okay, that actually sounds kind of cool. If it's fast enough to require a rollback netcode, I'm actually really curious. I'm gonna bring that up later as a thing to watch on the stream, because that sounds pretty cool actually. Let me copy this. Yeah, we go. I think it's rollback netcodes are usually used by fighting games, right? So that so that when you're responding to your opponent, it's snappy and reduces the amount of lag. E6 is used in fighting games to keep players from desyncing. So yeah, yeah, that's probably a better description. It's just so that when you're interacting with somebody else, it's not like a completely disjointed mess and your opponent does something and like 2 seconds later you see them do it. The wonders of technology. Yeah, this was also one of our most punishing days for walking. This is the day when we were walking where I died the most. We tried to walk from the hotel to Kiyomizu to the Imperial Grounds and then back to the hotel, which all in all was like 7 to 10 miles total, and I was not prepared for it. It was also very warm. It was like 80 degrees plus. And I forgot to put on sunscreen. So despite the fact it was overcast, obviously you can still get sunburn. So I was just like sweating and burning and my feet hurt and we were walking a very long distance. But I mean, we did so much walking that was like absolutely so worth it, honestly. It basically extracts a certain number of frames and back and will roll back to a certain point to make sure that things happen correctly. Oh! An even clearer description. Good shit. Also, Remney, hello! Yeah, no, the trip went really well. I got sick, hence my coughing occasionally on today's stream. But it was good. It was really fantastic. This was just a really skinny building that I thought was cool. There are a lot of really skinny buildings over there, and they always impress me. Oh yeah, speaking of really skinny buildings, we got caught in an earthquake while we were there. Um, Coming from California, it was like not the most dramatic thing, or it didn't feel like the most unusual thing. But it like 4 in the morning or something, I woke up to the hotel room just like violently shaking a little bit. And then I was like, Glass was already awake and I was like, what's happening? He was like, it's an earthquake. And I was, as a Californian, I was just like, yeah, whatever. Went back to sleep. When I looked it up in the morning, it was like a 5.4, relatively close to Tokyo, which was kind of nutty. Only time you felt an earthquake was when you lived in Alaska. Room felt like it tilted. I've actually felt several earthquakes in my lifetime. Weirdly enough, I went through multiple of them in New York, which is not a place you think of as being particularly earthquake prone. But I remember one time there was an earthquake that originated in like Virginia, and we felt it all the way in upstate New York, which was insane. And I remember it because it shook the house, and one of the windows that we had propped open slammed shut, and I was like, who moved the house? And then since I moved into California, we've had like a few small ones over around. You remember that quake? Yeah. That one was you, Vati. How fucking dare you? How dare you? Yeah. Yeah. These were the this is the old imperial grounds in Kyoto. It was the capital of Japan until the Meiji Restoration, and then the capital moved to Tokyo. But you can walk around the old grounds. They're doing renovations and you can't walk into the buildings, but you can walk around the outside and there's really beautiful gardens and stuff. So that was really cool to see. I got, honestly, perhaps an excessive number of night shots. Perhaps an unnecessary number of night shots. I was having a blast taking photos at night when we were walking along the river. You just be there, chill out there for a whole day. Honestly, that's kind of low-key what we did along the river. I also got, there was also a bird like in the shadows, or like in the shadows, but also in the light of the streetlights coming into the river. I'm so glad I got a photo of this like outline at least once. Because that was just really cool to see. It's never enough. It will never be enough. I actually didn't take too many photos of the food that we ate, but those were some pretty good noodles. Those were some pretty tasty noodles. Also, Weon, hello! Thank you! I'm glad to be back. Appreciate the sub. Thank you for what is that, 14 months? Holy shit, it's been 14 months? Thank you for your 14 months of supporting the stream. Yeah, there was a bunch of fun art. There was this really cool coffee shop. This place, Divided Coffee and Records. You could buy CDs, you could buy records. They just had a fun, surprisingly like American feeling interior, even though they had a lot of music, a lot of Japanese music, a lot of international music. The coffee, I'm not a coffee person, really. I don't drink coffee a lot by choice, but it was pretty good. Even I have to admit, as much as it was bitter as fuck, it was pretty decent coffee. It was also just like a really well-kept, adorable place. That's the Kyoto Tower. I forget exactly what it's called. We were gonna go to the Tokyo Skytree and then we got sick, so we ended up not doing that, unfortunately. Like, maybe we could have dragged our butts out there, but we also didn't want to infect people, you know, that kind of thing. More burb. See, I told you, every time there was a bird, I felt the need and I photographed the damn bird. The bird will be photographed. This is the hotel we stayed in. It had this really fun, like, comic book. It said in the description of it that it had this like comic book theme. This was the place that was surprisingly only like $50 a night. And the interior of the rooms also looked like that. This is Flufferton with the cartoon Mount Fuji in the background. And it was just kind of fucking adorable. Maz, hello! I've been good. How about you? I'm glad you're enjoying the Honkai Choo Choo also. Burb must be captured by camera. Burb must be captured by camera. If I see Burb, a camera's capturing it, okay? Um, we were walking around in the rain for these shots. I got some really nice, like, umbrella moments, I think. But it was also a super rainy day. Like, there was one day, this day, you can kind of see, where we did not walk places. It was pouring. It was absolutely pouring rain. But what we did do in that day instead is there's this really cool indoor market called Nishiki Market. Wait, kind of great. Actually, you just graduated high school today? Whoa, you just graduated? Fucking congratulations! That's a big achievement. Good shit. I hope you're happy and excited and, excited for the new chapter and all that shit. That's kind of awesome. Yeah, it's graduation season, isn't it? I remember before I left, people were talking about doing their final exams and graduating college and high school and all this shit. So if that's you, congratulations. A close friend of ours is graduating this month as well, which is just kind of like, fuck yeah, good. I know it's kind of weird. You're not sure what you're gonna do yet. I mean, I think that's pretty normal. I had no fucking idea what I really wanted to do when I was like 18 or whatever. I thought I wanted to do something, and then it took a hard left, then it took another hard left, and it went so left it went right. You'll figure it out. I trust. You got this. Just find stuff to do. I'm a couple years after that point, you're still not sure what you're gonna do. Is you don't really necessarily have to know what you're gonna do. Just find something that, like, supports you a little bit and go from there. Oh yeah, where was I? Nishiki Market. Nishiki Market was super cool. It was basically this long, narrow, like, street market kind of thing, with just like vendors and stalls and food and random stuff everywhere. Very good food as well. Getting a job soon and gets to just go from there. Makes sense. Gotta start somewhere. They had cool art hanging from the ceilings. We got, oh, you have a job interview tomorrow after applying to a few places? Ooh, good luck with the job interview. I hope it's for something that's, like, at least a little exciting, though. To be fair, a job interview in general is usually pretty, like, okay, cool, job interview. They thought something was good here, so congrats on that. You want to go to college, but you want to take a break, but at the same time not very sure you'd come back if you did. Honestly, that's, I think, a fair thing. When I was graduating college and I was talking to one of my advisors about graduate school, one of the things he said to me was, don't get too pulled in by being out of school, or you have a lower chance of actually going back to school. But it's just, I think it's also, an individual thing. Like, I feel like I'm getting to a point where getting a degree or getting a higher degree is just going to be worth my career and my own interests. But especially for, like, undergraduate or associate or whatever it is you might want to think about doing, it's an interesting one. I think regardless, though, I mean, you're never too old to go back to go to college or to go back to school or whatever. So it's not like it's like a fucking sword that's gonna just drop on you if you don't do it within a year. Took a break because you couldn't handle the scheduling during the peak of COVID. The break kept going. Fair enough. Life will also just fucking happen. Glass and I got super lucky that we graduated the year before COVID hit. We graduated in 2019 from college, and the class of 2020 was obviously a lot more miserable than we were, as were the following classes as well. Yeah. Nishiki Market was cool. I got my mom a present from this shop. She doesn't watch the stream, so it'll still be a surprise. But they had a whole Woodstock Peanuts Snoopy themed store that was actually like a surprise, but super fun. There's so much that you think you could do or that you'd like to do, but don't know what that is yet. you like to just take it slow for a second because your high school experience was a complete shit show until your senior year. Honestly, also completely valid to just like take a break from education if education has not been good or has not been fun or has just been a fucking stressful pile of junk. I forced myself to get through a very rough first year of college, and it almost broke me. It almost broke me, and I had to go to therapy because my brain was not going my brain was not going good. Okay. And then I shoved all of my problems under the rug and tried to keep going, and now I'm paying the price for it. But taking a break is important. Can cause a spiral. Yes, it can spiral you. You can end up feeling depressed and just out of it and not understanding why you're doing what you're doing, which is not a great place to be either. COVID hit freshman year. You had no sophomore year. Junior was terrible because you're not in the school for about half the year. This is really your first real high school. It's also your last at the same time. Oh shit. Yeah, that sounds rough. Because yeah, you're basically just robbed of most of your high school experience then. Which is, you know, super important. I don't know how long it's been since I actually mentioned this on the stream. I was homeschooled. I was homeschooled for my education, and I missed out on high school. And talking to people who had that full 4 years and the like interaction and like people and like learning social stuff and like also just like learning material as well, depending on how good your high school was, it's definitely a gap to not have that experience. It's a huge gap. Like, you can overcome it obviously, and like there's things that become way more important, but high school is a formative time. It's fucking formative time. What am I looking at? This is like Biwa. We're gonna go to like a zoo and stuff in Kyoto, and then we realized it was closed because it was a Monday, and a lot of places close on Monday because they want to be open for the weekend. So we went to Lake Biwa instead, and then instead of Lake Biwa being a place that we could do stuff, it was also closed. The boat that we wanted to take was also closed. It took me so long to learn how to be more social. Around this time last year, couldn't you pay for gas without freezing up? Honestly, I fucking feel that. I have so much anxiety because I didn't interact with people a lot when I was a kid, and it's surprisingly hard to get over as an adult. It's surprisingly difficult to fucking push through because unknown situations are fucking scary. Online helps a lot, though. Online does help a lot. It's being a stream host person is like a different type of social than some people how they interact online, but man, stream has helped me a lot of just being able to like talk and have ideas and form thoughts. Sometimes the thoughts are fucking stupid and they don't go beyond titties, but it's helped. Get the interaction where you can, and just keep doing stuff. That's a valid thought. Thank you for saying that it is a valid thought. I'm gonna go get the Shroom Ghost, and the Shroom Ghost can continue narrating this whole story thing. Ooh, it's the Shroom Ghost. Woo! Titties! Okay. What was I doing? Yeah, so we went to Lake Biwa, and then because that did not take very long, and there's this thing called the Michigan Cruise. It's an American-style boat that they use to take you to tour the lake. We were gonna go on it, but it was super windy because it had rained really hard the night before, and whatchamacallit had there was just a lot of wind. There was a storm system had passed through, so they closed the boat. So we went to Lake Biwa, and we saw it was very beautiful there, albeit, and the town that we went to, Otsu, was very nice, but we did not get to do the main touristy thing that we had planned to do. Shroom Ghost has finished haunting Japan? No, it's just started, baby. We're just starting to haunt Japan. I will show up in Japan's nightmares going, ooh, Timo. I think, actually, fun facts, I think Timo's voice actor is a Japanese woman, if I'm remembering correctly. I remember looking that up at one point and being surprised at that. I don't know why surprised. I don't know who I expected to voice Teemo, but for some reason it wasn't that. So Lake Biwa was a bust a little bit, though it was still very, very pretty. And I'm glad that we got to go there. And then later that day, we went to the Fushimi Inari Shrine at night. If any of you have heard of or seen photos of just like Torii-gate after Torii-gate after Torii-gate after Torii-gate, it's from the Fushimi Inari Shrine. And I had heard that it's very beautiful at night because it's open 24 hours. So it's lit up like throughout the evening and throughout the night. So I thought that would be a good photo op, and it was a very beautiful photo op. Mentally still in high school is all passed by incredibly too soon. You screwed up your academic shit up in sophomore and junior year. High school grades are also, you're hitting a point where they're going to start to not matter as well, which is kind of a nice relief. It's weird. Grades are so important when you're in it. Oh, happens to be Pikachu also, and Ash? I did not know that. Whatchamacallit? Oh, what was it? Yes. It's weird. Grades are so important when you're in the moment and things are happening at your institution, and then you move on to the next thing and it's like, what was that grade even? What did that grade mean? As long as you learn something, it's okay. And if it's not relevant to your field, if you forget everything, it's also okay. It's even okay if you forget like 75% of the thing that you're supposed to be doing later. It's fine. I took organic chemistry. I'm currently technically kind of in a biochemistry position in my current job. I don't remember all of the biochemistry that I learned, so it's fine. You just sang that original Japanese Pokemon song a few months ago on YouTube? Oh, fuck yeah. But yeah, this is the Fushimi Inari Shrine at night. It is absolutely stunning, yeah. It was really cool to see. It was cooler in the evening, there were fewer people. The only caveat was that there were a lot of signs saying that wild boars may attack you at night. I don't know how often that happens, but when I was looking it up just to see if that was actually a problem, I did run into a blog post by a lady who was like, yeah, I saw a wild boar when I was climbing the shrine at night, and I was like, hopefully that doesn't happen. We didn't see any wild boars. The reason that it's that there are boars in general, it's in Kyoto, but it's on a hill basically. So it is in the mountains, it is in the woods. There are animals out there. That's some kind of honor code for excellence in creative writing, which they took away from you at graduation practice and forgot to give it back. What? They just forgot to give it back? What the fuck? That's rude AF. If it happens, you should eat the wild boar. I would like to eat the wild boar, yes. If a wild animal attacks me, I feel like I have the right to turn around and be like, I'm gonna eat you, bitch. Just for fucking attempting. These were really pretty. There was just a really nice atmosphere. It was a little creepy, but they were like a bunch of tourists and photographers wandering around at night, so it wasn't like a I'm worried for my safety. It was just really dark on a mountain at night. Yeah, we walked around a decent amount of it. We didn't do the full loop. Attack you and become my next meal. I don't know if I can give you that much like protein. Glass got this photo of me, which is just like actually like a really beautiful shot, I think. Kudos to Glass for this one. There's also just a bunch of so many Torii gates and shrines everywhere. Absolutely everywhere. I'm trying to see if there's any other great photos from this place. Not really. This is basically what it looks like when you're walking inside. I don't know what any of the writing says, but it's basically just an entire walkway of Torii gates that people have purchased and donated or constructed there. Only enjoyed English, but he was always nominated for those STEM programs and robotics stuff and engineering things. Don't really like that type of thing, which very much conflicts with the idea of what I'm going to do next now that you're out in the world. I mean, that's okay. It also depends potentially on like how they were teaching and like the exact material that they were using. Like I didn't really get super attached to the robotics stuff that I was doing that I got to do in like high school and college. But then I got to my last job and they let me handle a liquid handling robot and program that. And that was dope. And I would totally do that again. I just didn't like the other programming stuff. Like it's also super system dependent, unfortunately or fortunately, depending on depending on where you're at. Yeah, the photos came out really well. This is just some nice flowers. This is another one of the manhole covers that I was talking about, though. Just a really, actually, I should probably rotate this. Just a really cool shot of a boat. I think on Lake Biwa. But they were all just super elaborate and pretty. Don't know why. Oh yeah, that's the boat. That's the Michigan Cruise. This is from Otsu. Let's see. Oh yeah, this is the walk up to the. This is the map of the Kiyomizu. So we walked up through here and then up through this set of gates. But there's a whole like multiple kilometer loop that you can do that goes further up into the mountain. We didn't do that because it was dark and we were worried about the boars, and also it was dark as fuck. It was interesting. There were some paths that went into the mountains or into the mountain that weren't main path, but there weren't any gates or anything like indicating that you shouldn't necessarily go up them. But I looked up at them. They're like really steep old stone steps, and I was like, that would be cool to climb, but also I'd be afraid. It was super pretty. It was just a really nice place. Kyoto is also very peaceful. It's not as hustle bustle as Tokyo is. Very walkable, clean transportation. That's kind of true of Japan in general. But it was just a really nice city. Well, I think it was my favorite city out of the trip. This was another temple that we went by as we were walking to the Heian Shrine and also the Kyoto Zoo, because I thought it would be fun to go to the International Zoo just to see what it was like. This place also had more that was on a hill that we did not climb because it would have been many hundreds of more stairs, and we were already doing a lot of walking that day. We also happened to go to Kyoto at the same time as apparently 40,000 tour groups from schools. We saw probably hundreds of like high school, middle school age students, and then we went to the zoo, and unfortunately it was also swamped with like hundreds of toddlers. Maybe not hundreds, like maybe like 80 toddlers, but 80 toddlers is still a lot of toddlers. Also, good night, Moss. Thank you for joining the stream. Congratulations again on graduating. Huge fucking achievement. And I wish you all the best in whatever it is that comes next for you. Yeah, no, it was a great time. But good night. Thank you for coming by. This is the Heian Shrine, Heian Jingu Shrine, if I'm remembering or pronouncing that correctly. Not as touristy as some of the other places that we visited. There was also a giant fucking torii gate that bridged a road leading to it. I think I have other photos of it as well that are better, but it was massive, and you could see it from like a kilometer away at least. I say kilometer, even though I'm American, because when I was looking at Google Maps, it would sometimes give me stuff in kilometers, or the streets would say kilometers. So I think it was like, it was a kilometer point where I was like, oh yeah, look at that thing in the distance. These are more photos of stuff in museums. And then this was just a fun storefront that we passed at one point. And then we made it to Tokyo, and that's where my health declined. So we wore masks pretty much whenever we were indoors. took it off outside, which seemed to be what other people in the country were doing as well. Like, it was kind of a 50-50 shot as whether someone would actually be wearing a mask. We tried to mask up indoors just to be safe, and we have shots and stuff. We still got sick, though. Didn't stop us from getting some kind of cold. The second day we got to Tokyo, we went from Kyoto to Tokyo. Pretty simple. The train was not that hard. Glass got sick the next day. And I ended up taking care of him. And then I got sick the day after, so he ended up taking care of me. And then I, unlike him, had 2 serious days where I just really couldn't do much, which kind of sucked. And I'm still recovering. I've still got congestion in my system from it, whatever it was. But it's getting better, so that's nice. One thing we didn't realize is this has happened completely randomly, or not randomly, but randomly to us. We got a hotel in the Ryogoku area of Tokyo, and we got hotel we stayed in, which again was only like, I think 60 or 70-ish a night, was right next to the sumo wrestling building and like competition area, and there was one of, I think, like 4 yearly competitions one of the Sundays that we were in Tokyo. We didn't end up going because there were like almost no tickets available and they were kind of expensive. But we when we walked into the hotel a couple of times, there would just be like sumo wrestlers walking around, chilling. Those guys are massive. Like, not only are they like big, just like in size generally, but they're also really tall. They're really fucking tall. They're taller than most Japanese people. Like, Glass was taller than a lot of Japanese people. These were extremely tall people just in general. Like, they could probably walk into fucking Scandinavia and like compete with people for height for some of these guys. And I was just like, wow, they are gonna be, that guy could literally just, I think, break my skull by looking at me wrong. Almost got a bad case of food poisoning for a week in China. Oh no! That honestly sucks. Should have not ate the freshly slain pig in a rural village. Here's the thing though, I probably would have done the same thing. It's unique enough that it probably would have tempted me to do that as well. The Sumida River runs it's right through Tokyo. So we're pretty close to that, and I got some okay photos of it. There was also another bird, so I photographed the bird. Clearly, it was a nice crane. It was one of the things that Tokyo did make me think, though, is that driving next time, or in the next time, or in a future visit might be interesting. We couldn't read any of the signage, or we didn't prepare enough to be able to read the road signage. But next time it'd be kind of cool, because one thing we didn't do, and that I kind of want to do, is there is this drive to Mount Fuji. We didn't actually see it because we got sick and it just ate up a bunch of our Tokyo days. But there's also musical roads apparently around Mount Fuji, and those would just be kind of fun to drive over. It was a pig they used in a temple christening. The pig's blood is spilled in the temple ground. That's how fresh it was. That is incredibly fresh. I'm actually slightly surprised you got food poisoning from it, but I guess it depends on what bacteria was just kind of like ambiently in the pig. Because raw meat doesn't always give you food poisoning. That's just unfortunate. This is a pretty nice shot from our hotel room of Tokyo in the evening. We were also relatively close to the Skytree, but again, illness ate up our Skytree days, or at least the days that we planned to be around the Skytree. It was cooled. Oh, it had cooled down. Oh, it was cooked. Oh, it was cooked as well. Never mind. I thought you were talking about like just raw meat. I think I read freshly slain and I was like, oh yeah, the way you could just technically sort of eat meat off of a dead animal if it's been immediately killed. This was a nice urban park in the middle of the middle of Tokyo. It was also right next to the Japanese Sword Museum, which was kind of a cool place. There was also a sword store right by the hotel that was like advertised like authentic Japanese swords. It looked like an Apple store because it was just like all white interiors and then just swords everywhere. It was so cool to look at. I forgot to take a photo of it, but it was fucking incredible to see. These are just some more shots of the city. The place that we went the most in Tokyo was definitely Akihabara. Tech shop, tech stores, fucking pop culture out the ass. So many gacha machines. There were some musical performances. One thing that we didn't know but learned when we got there is that on Sundays they just open the street up to pedestrians. Like they close the street down and you can just like walk in the middle of the road. I thought it was some special event, and then I googled it and was like, apparently they just do that like all the time. So that was super cool. We got a bunch of figurines. We went into a magic store in one of the buildings, and they had some like original fucking alpha cards just like sitting there. They also had a playmat that I came so close to buying, but it was also $200, so I didn't buy it. But it was a super cool tournament exclusive playmat, and I have a thing for playmats, but I resisted. Again, maybe next time. Another cool storefront, more evidence that we were close to the sumo arena. And then on our last evening that we had before the next day when we were flying out, we went to see the Team Lab Planets exhibit in Tokyo, which was absolutely stunning. Absolutely stunning. Should have bought it. They are well made. Yeah, I do have regrets that I didn't buy more magic stuff while we were there. Well, we got a good haul regardless, and we managed to remember to get gifts for everybody, and that was of importance, so that was good. All the parents are covered, all the friends are covered, doing great. There's an immersive exhibit that that you can go to. It's really, really beautiful. This is basically a room full of LEDs. Then they have changing music, and they have lights, and they do all this crazy shit. Also, the floors and the walls are all mirrors. So when you walk in there, every single room that you walk into is disorienting because they make sure that the ceiling, the wall, and the floor all match, or they're mirrors. So you can't really tell where the boundaries of the room are, which is just discombobulating, but also just fucking incredible, and also just really beautiful to be in the space. They also specifically say that unless it's an LED or a flower or something breakable, you can touch stuff. And there was also water features, which I didn't anticipate before we went. My pants got soaked. But basically you walk through the entrance, the first exhibit you go to, you walk through an incline with water running down it, and then you walk into this room that is basically knee-deep water with projections coming down from the ceiling of like fish and just general sparkly stuff. And it's really, you feel like you're walking through a pool of something like magical. It's really incredible. This was just a fun-ass balloon room. There were these big inflatable plastic beach ball kind of things, and they were just like hung from the ceiling or like floating around on the floor, like tied to the wall or whatever, and you could just like push on them and like squeeze yourself around them, which is kind of great. And everyone was barefoot through this whole thing as well, because you don't want your shoes and your socks in the water exhibits. So that there's all these like tactile stuff that you can feel with your feet, which is kind of great. This was I think it was like something like an endless flower exhibit where it's basically a mirrored floor and then a dome, and the projections are just these constantly moving, super dynamic flower designs that are just like moving and sweeping across the ceiling. So you're supposed to lie down on the ground and look up at it. Is this Team Lab? It is Team Lab. Yeah. We were lucky and got tickets to one of their shows when we were traveling. These were just some orbs and some boss. It wasn't as dramatic, but it was basically piles and piles and piles of moss, which was interesting. And you could touch the ovoids. They specifically said that you could like push on the ovoids, and they were just like stiff, glittery plastic things. It was kind of fun. And then one of I think the most stunning rooms was this mirrored room. I was standing upright when I took this photo, which is just goes to show how well they did the mirroring in this room. It's basically just a lot of live flowers hung from the ceiling. And they are attached to wires, and they're machines that would move the flowers up and down at different rates and different positions. So as you're walking through, sometimes you'll run into a wall of flowers over here, and sometimes you'll find a path over there. It's super cool. Try catching an Illumia exhibition. It's Team Lab, but in a forest. That sounds super cool. There also were ads for a light installation in Osaka that I didn't realize was an exhibit that they had, and it seems really cool. But yeah, there was just live orchids hanging from the ceiling, and they were on attached to a motor, and they'd move around as you walked through the space. If the video would ever like to load. No? Okay, that's fine. And there was interactive stuff you could do on an app on your phone outside with like this thing and other parts of the exhibit. Just a lot of really neat, really fucking neat technology. And then we flew home to California. Colds and all, honestly, a really fucking fantastic trip. As the first time I ever left the country outside of being adopted, I would have to say it was a pretty incredible first adventure for me. Japan is next level. Japan is super fucking next level. They do so many things just like incredibly well, and it's such an aesthetically focused place to be. Like everything is beautiful. Everything is clean. It's easy to get around. It's super walkable. There's so much history and art and culture and fucking incredible food, by the way. It was a great trip. So yeah, that's why I wasn't around for 2 weeks. I was busy doing this. But now we're back home, and the stream shall be resuming. I'm probably going to wrap up in a little bit because I've been talking for a while, and I can tell that my throat is starting to be a little bit iffy about that one. So yeah, tomorrow I'll be back for a little bit to play more of the Mage Seeker, continue that. I think we were like, 25% of the way done last time I left off. So gonna move on with that. Probably not gonna finish it tomorrow, but would like to maybe get to like, 50% or so? And then I'm gonna be off Friday and Saturday of this week. I don't usually stream on Fridays, but gonna be off both of those days, and then back on Sunday and Monday. Probably moving forward, what I'm thinking is Sundays is going to be a longer LOR stream for viewer deck submissions, viewer 1v1s. I would have a couple of series ideas in mind that I might get kicking, especially as more Eternal formats approach. So that will hopefully be kind of exciting. Planning to run more tournaments as always, so look out for Poro Cup Series announcements as those come down the pipeline. And then Thursdays and Fridays are going to be a little bit floating, I think, moving forward a little bit. Good to see me back. Thank you. Getting over the jet lag takes a week. I woke up at 1 in the morning yesterday, and I woke up at 3 in the morning today, so we're getting closer to a normal sleep schedule. We're approaching it. We're not quite there yet, but we're approaching it. Sundays are going to be a longer LOR stream. Mondays are also going to be LOR. Sundays LOR streams will be replaced by tournaments, most likely. So Monday will always be Runeterra, but on the probably about once a month, maybe 3 weeks if we get real ambitious. will be Poro Cup Series tournaments. And then Thursday and Friday will be a little bit floating. Definitely want to finish the Mage Seeker. I think I'm definitely going to hold Thursdays open for just games that I'm playing and actually really enjoying. Either things that kind of serendipitously occur, like the Mage Seeker did, or just things that I'm doing in general. I don't know if I'm ever going to actually stream Honkai Choo Choo. But I'm definitely going to be playing Honkai Choo Choo a little bit. So, maybe at some point. I'm also going to be looking at finally upgrading some hardware and streaming Final Fantasy. It took a little bit. This trip was definitely like a financial ding to the can I actually get a computer that can better handle streaming and something like Final Fantasy at the same time. But I have not forgotten that I said I would play that, even though it's been like half a year since it was originally floated. So Thursdays and Fridays are going to be a little bit more variety than they have been. I'm not abandoning Runeterra. Just might be streaming it 1 or 2 days less in order to make room for other things that are also hopefully fun and exciting. Glass and I have also been talking about starting a relatively completely independent content project that may or may not come to fruition in the next month or so. Not making any promises there, but there's a lot of things that are in the works and hoping to be able to share a whole bunch of it with the stream moving forward. But for now, it will definitely be some variety days, more of those, and also definitely continuing with Runeterra and tournaments and community building there and playing all of your shit and just kind of having a good time making card decisions. And yeah, that's about it. Thank you to everybody who's hung around, if you did, while I talked about the trip that we just went on. And looking forward to seeing you all in a future stream. Again, tomorrow will be the Mage Seeker, and then Sunday and Monday will be Runeterra. Sunday at 5 p.m. as usual, Monday at 8 p.m. as usual. Those will be back to completely normal. And I will have to refresh myself on Runeterra because I'm definitely a little bit rusty for having not intensely played it for hours in a week or so. And I played it a couple of times on the trip, but nothing like super grindy or super complex. So that'll be interesting. I know that the Runeterra Open was also just last weekend, so kudos to everybody who competed, if you did, and also kudos to everybody who placed in the Runeterra Open as well. I have wanted to do it because it was Eternal, but it was not happening with the trip. I don't know what time zone it would have been to try and queue up in North America, but it would not have worked. I can guarantee you would not have worked. So yeah, thank you all again. Hope to see you in a future stream. You're all amazing, and it is very good to be back. Cannot wait to be streaming more in the future. 6 the time zone would be 6. Oh, what is it, 17 hours ahead? I remember we were landing at 9 in the morning, or we were landing at what would have been 2 in the morning, Japan time, and I was getting messages from my work Slack that people were talking at 9, and I was like, okay, this is gonna, the jet lag is gonna be fun. But yeah, thank you all again. Good night, internet. Have a wonderful rest of your time zone wherever you are, and I hope to see you again in the future.